In another part of this, there's another part of the story that isn't told. The one who has had interest in her approaches her again and apologizes to her and assures her this is not a persistence, but wishes to find out as to what has made her make the decision that she did regarding this prophecy. And he waits for her response, but then adds also that he has fond memories of the times that they shared, and that he feels that without her, there'd be an emptiness in her heart. She listens intently, and not so much to have too much emotion showing. She assures him that she too will cherish times they've had together. But as she had told him before she left the palace, at the time when she tried to make the go of it, and though she had been at King's Landing possibly what would be considered like a month in their world, and then at the time holding the throne for 3 days, that her life took a direction even at that time, and he was to hold the place here in Marine for somebody who would be appropriate to hold the throne. He seems to understand this and agrees and confirms what she tells him, and then tells her that he is sorry that things did take a turn for the worst. She accepts his respectfulness, that unfortunately things that were done had not been foreseen because she thought she had everything planned to where there would be no uprising. But because of a discovery, because she does not like sorcerers, the enemy had revealed something about the one she was to marry, because he was risen from the dead by a sorceress, though she cannot change what has been done. And if there be a child, of course, there would be an alternate scene, just so everybody knows that the child would be with him now, and that had she known the truth, she would not have made such a commitment at that time. But because of the facts, that has been dissolved and is no longer a matter that she wishes to discuss anymore, because she's moving ahead. Though she may have retreated, and this be the first time she ever had to, she's not one to retreat and stay retreated, because since she is the mother of dragons, crossing her path and doing such treasure, it's not a matter of if she will go back to the Iron Throne, but when. And when she returns, those who did dare challenge her and force her off, they will meet their own undoing once and for all. He seems pleased with her decision and seems well delighted. Then what would it take for you to accept, say, one like myself, if I may be permitted to ask? Because I know I don't hold no land or titles, I'm just a mere knight. But what if it was possible to accept one like myself? What would you require? She kind of smiles a bit because she sees where this is going. She assures him, you are persistent, and if it wasn't for the fact that you and I had shared each other's company, I would probably have your head right about now. But I'm going to let this one slide. She assures him, if it were possible, you would have to at least hold the title of a duke, and that's even at the minimum, for that's even lower than that of a prince. He seems to understand this, but she also lets him know, I don't see where you're going to get that title. He kind of seems embarrassed that this call makes her delight in this. Well, would you at least consider, possibly, if there were no other suitors, the love that I have for you. She doesn't say anything with a smile. She just more or less says, with a nod of agreement. Of course, he knows that it probably might be smart not to push the issue, especially with Grey Worm standing nearby. So he humbly bows before her and takes his leave. Meantime, we now have a situation where an idea came into mind. The idea for the ones that wear the masks, because they know that if they want to have all of that which was lost, they're going to have to form an alliance, as much as they hate to, because it usually goes beyond them to do so. So they decide then to make a contact by paying a visit by sneaking past Marine and paying the relative of the House of Lannis a visit. The new king of Lannis welcomes him and is also requested of the uncle to the deceased nephew who took Winterfell back of the Bolton House and the one of the Three Towers. The one of the Three Towers is skeptical about this one, and that almost caused an offense. And the leader tells him, "You are weak, and I do not want to discuss with you. You may help, but I have no reason to speak to you because you are a weak house, much like that of the one who got killed finally, because he was also weak, though he had treacherous ways and killed most of the Stark family." The other one pretty much tries to challenge him by saying, "How dare you?" And this almost causes him to be in a situation that such a challenge would be considered an offense. He could lose his head. But the king, new king of Lannis, who inherited the throne and the crown, basically puts his foot down. Enough of this. This is what she would want. We can start fighting each other. There won't be much of us left. And the Harpy leader agrees. His proposal is to form an alliance. They help him get what he wants, and in turn, he helps them by ridding the world of the Targaryen queen once and for all. Therefore, they get their slaver cities back. It would also be a great benefit to him by working together, because then there would be no possible return or attempt to have the Iron Throne. He thinks about this for the time and seems to agree and likes this. He speaks much wisdom and sense, at least from his understanding. So once this is agreed, they then go about their separate ways, and it gives them much to think about. It would be the greatest allyship that they did once again, this time with the Harpies. And the plan is to invade Esseros so that they can battle with her for one last time on her ground. Daenerys seemed very excited after the knight who was persistent leaves. Waits till he's out of sight. She, like a young teenage girl again, almost not watching what she's doing, and almost loses her balance but catches herself skipping down the steps from the palace throne with much delight. And Missandei kind of looks puzzled at her strange behavior. She looks up at Missandei. "Do come. Hurry." So Missandei shakes her head with a smile. Okay, there must be something that has greatly excited Daenerys. So, as carefully as she can, she goes down the steps as well and follows Daenerys into the meeting room. Daenerys surprises Missandei and takes her by the hands above the wrists with a big smile. "He's here." He's what? "The stranger is here."
I found him on the beach when I was taking solitude from the advice you told me. He is. Well, do tell. So they both um, sit down as Daenerys leads her by the right hand in a chair. I was looking out at the rocky outcrop, and Missandei's smile gets big, and then I saw something floating in the water. Naturally, I'm going to be cautious as I go down, and I slowly approach because he is, as the visionary said, wearing these strange clothes. It's like a shade of green, but with gray coming across his shoulders. I've never seen such strange clothing before. It isn't armor, like the men of our world, but maybe soft armor. I don't know. I was going to touch him, but he started moving. I kind of was reluctant. I wanted to see what he was going to do. He was reaching out, and I guess was like looking for something or feeling the sand. So I watched this action that he was doing, still puzzled by this. I think maybe he was trying to pull himself up or out of the water, but I'm not certain of this. Well, I spoke to him, and he stopped moving. And that's after I touched him the first time on his back. I lifted my hand quickly, not sure if he was going to, like, maybe attack me or anything, because he stopped moving when he heard my voice. But he didn't speak yet. I touched him again and assured him that he was to take it easy and that I was there to help him. I used both hands to roll him over. And much to my delight, he has very light blue eyes, dark brown hair, and I think his hair is long. It was like, like that of a horse's tail. They both see flat. Are you serious? Why would he have a horse's tail on his head? I don't know. Maybe it's the custom of his world that they put men's hair in that. When I was married to Drogo, I always braided his hair, but his was long and straight like that of a horse's tail. I don't know what to make of this. Well, I tried to find out where he's from. I spoke to him. He motioned something to his ear. I don't think he can understand me. So I kind of talked to him for a bit. Let me know I had many questions for him. And I stood up because I knew, even though I'm probably stronger than him, and I will confess, he seems a bit frail. And if I kind of looked at him from head to toe, he could, if he were standing, probably be a bit shorter than me. And I assured him that he will learn customs and traditions about symbolism being our world, being everything, and that there'll be other things that he will learn our language so he can communicate. As I was looking to my right, trying to figure out how do I bring him in, while not drawing attention to myself, I heard him speak, but I didn't understand the words he was saying. It was as if his voice was faint, like he was trying to speak. He must have been floating out at Slaver's Bay for the longest time. He is reaching for me. I stepped back a bit, looked down at him sternly because it's hard for me to believe that this stranger from another world is going to be the one that brings me victory. But then I felt something for him, as if I was falling in love with him already. My uncle would probably say that I found me a new pet, and maybe my uncle's right. He's not like any man of this world. Wow, this is quite the find for you, then, Daenerys. Yes. I found it a little bit humorous. He's a bit dirty. They both thought. So is this where you're going to put him in the bathtub? Well, not right away. I don't want to scare him. he might think I was trying to rape him. I don't want him to not trust me or be fearful of me. I don't know if I should do that right away. I might hold that off for a bit. That's probably a good idea, but that does cross my mind. It is funny, Missandei, that you should say this. I have many things crossing my mind right now, and I'm trying to sort all this out. You seem to be very happy and excited about this stranger you found. Oh, yes. It's not something that you would find every day. Come on a shore on a beach. He's hanging out to see strange things, which I will look at later. So, I assured him that though he probably doesn't understand a word I'm saying, he's probably not going to find any others like himself here. So I figured it didn't matter telling him this. And that I'm going to spend a couple of nights. That he's to do whatever they tell him. Although I'm sure he doesn't understand the leader, but I'm sure he'll get kind of the idea. And so I came back to the palace. Of course, I had to deal with the persistent knight again, but this time the persistent knight was a little more respectful. And I did take your advice and be a little more open to him. And he showed certain sympathies, which I do appreciate because of the loss that I had when we had the King's Landing at the time. And he actually bowed respectfully before me, so I think in time maybe he will accept the fact that I cannot marry him. But now, back to the stranger. Wow. So he's really got your attention. Oh, yes. I think when he's brought before me, I think you'll be the one that gets the first pleasure. I beg your pardon. Well, it would be strange if I was to remove his clothing. That probably wouldn't be proper or look dignified if I do it. And somebody's got to get him out of these wet clothes so he don't get sick. I think you should find some other servants in the palace, and you'll have to strip him. Perhaps you might report to me what you see, how big his pulled 2 stones are. Oh my gosh, Daenerys, are you serious? Well, I am curious, and since you are the handmaiden, I can't think of anybody better to get him out of these wet clothes. He's going to need some rest. You're going to have to organize servants who will obey you and get him undressed. Well, I will let you know what I see. Hopefully he's not too scary. Well, he's not like a monster. It's not like he's got 3 or 4 arms. He looks like us on the outside. Perhaps his pulling 2 stones will look like the men of our worlds, though he's not. Wow. Wow, I will obey any command you give me. Oh, I'm sure you will. So, I just wanted to let you know he's here. Alright. Well, when the time has come, after he's brought before you in the throne room, and you give the order for the knights to carry him into the guest chambers, I will have servants ready, standing by to strip him of the strange clothing and dry him off as best as possible and cover him up, and then hopefully he will get some rest, and a week later, and perhaps we can see if you can establish communication with him. Yes, I have so many questions for him. So with that, they hug each other as if this was the best discovery that she has ever found, and they go back in the throne room ready to meet the strangers about to be brought before her. As Daenerys and Missandei are on the way to the throne room to meet this legendary human stranger that has come into our world, brought by the 2 knights that are to bring him, by her decree, unspoiled, unharmed, and not marked or damaged in any way. She comes across the historian. I urge you, although you may have heard of this before, when I was dethroned in King's Landing by the relative who is now king of House of Baratheon, who is the relative of the former King Lannis. Everything that has happened up to this point is not to be documented. Are we understood? Yes, my queen. All right then. In time, all will be revealed. In the meantime, you are to inform the visionary that the stranger has arrived. I will do that then. Thank you. Perhaps you two may wish to speak with him when we have figured out how to communicate. That would be very good. All right, then. Thank you. With that, Daenerys and Missandei continue on to the throne room to wait for his being brought before her. Daenerys then sits on her throne, Missandei at her side on the left, with as usual, with a towel on her left arm with her hands somewhat intertwined and folded in front of her. Daenerys looks at Missandei, who's looking at her. They both seem to have a big smile. This must be quite the exciting moment for you, Daenerys. Yes. I think you will see that he does not know our language, if he should speak. And then she looks straight ahead, wait for him to be brought in. He is different. And you'll notice his clothing is strange. The door is open, and two knights enter, holding this stranger, soaking wet, dripping water all over the floor, but she doesn't make a fuss over it because of the fact that he was washed ashore, and the floors can easily be mopped up. They then have stop at the end of the steps. Daenerys looks in from head to toe with a big smile. Do you think he's the chosen one? The one that you're to marry and mate with? I don't know. I have many questions, but I don't want to embarrass him. I don't think it would be proper to ask about his, well, you know. Yes, probably we shouldn't say that here. No, probably not. But I like what I see. She then tries to communicate with him. You are most welcome here, stranger. Do you have a name? The stranger looks at the two knights holding him. You can release him. Yeah, I'm sure he could probably stand on his own. So the knights let go of his arms. You come from very far, do you not? The stranger still doesn't respond, looks up at her with a smile. She smiles back. You must have to give up everything you own to make such a far journey. Are you the one from this other world? Again, the stranger kind of shakes his head, trying to understand. I don't think he understands what you're saying, Daenerys. I know. Are you here to take the throne from me or my life? He doesn't seem to understand. Do you know who I am or my position? The knights then kind of, at first, lightly tap at his leg to get, as if they're trying to get him to kneel. You need to kneel before the queen, one of the knights says. And the stranger looks at the one speaking, but shakes his head, putting his hand to his ear, as if to say he doesn't understand. Then the knight in a rough manner, kicks his leg out from under him and he falls on all fours. Stop this! I didn't say I wanted him hurt or spoiled, now did I? Well, he didn't seem to understand. I know, but he is not from here. And if he is the chosen one, I said I did not want him spoiled, marred, or marked. If you do it again, it'll be the last time you serve me in my palace. Are we not clear? Sorry, my queen. She looks back at the stranger, then with a friendlier look. I am sorry. My knights don't seem to understand your language, as I do not either. When you're before a queen, you're supposed to kneel, but you probably don't understand a thing I'm saying. Are you hungry? I imagine you can't be thirsty. Or maybe you are. The stranger's then propping himself back up, sitting on his legs, looking at both the knights. Are you well? Is there something that you need? Are you the chosen one? But again, he doesn't seem to understand. And then he suddenly says something. I'm cold. And Daenerys' head kind of jolts back a bit. And then Missandei looks at her with a surprised look. He speaks. Yes, he does. But I don't understand what he's saying. What language is this that you speak? I do not understand. The stranger, still not understanding her as well, then says something else. Where am I? Who are you? What is this place? And he hugs his own arms as if he's cold. But Daenerys also shakes her head. I don't understand what he's saying. He seems cold, I think, because he's like shivering. And notice his skin. It's like the visionary said, it's slightly pink in color. Different than ours. And he has this horse's tail. That's with a big smile. At the back of his head, the stranger then points at a mirror hanging on the wall. And looking at Daenerys, makes a gesture as if he can have the mirror. I think he wants the mirror. The mirror? Well, perhaps maybe he's been out so long at sea, he doesn't even know what he looks like. I don't see any harm in this. Hand him the mirror. Perhaps there's a significance of his trying to communicate. So Missandei then takes the mirror that's off to her left, hanging on a wall, and cautiously steps forward and hands it to him. He cautiously also takes the mirror from Missandei and peers into it, laying it on the floor. And both Missandei, after she takes her place beside Daenerys, they watch him carefully with much anticipation as to what he's doing. He touches his face and sees that he probably will need a shave, and his hair falls to his right, and he grabs it as if it's suddenly discovered for the very first time, shaking his head like as if he's in disbelief. Maybe he didn't realize he had a horse's tail. Maybe not. He seems to be fascinated by this. Do you not have mirrors in your world? But again, he doesn't seem to understand. Oh, man, I wish we could communicate. And the visionary said you and I will learn each other's language soon. She seems to be quite excited, the expression on her face. And She then decides to have the knights pick him up and take him to the guest chamber, help him to his feet. I want him to be put into the guest chamber. He is totally soaking wet. And the stranger, seeing the knight's about to approach him again, he then taps his hand rapidly on the floor. Wait, I think he's about to communicate. So the knight stops. And the stranger points to the ceiling, and there he looks up. Yes, you're from another world. Stranger looks around. What's he doing now? And his arms are flailing about on the floor like he's gathering something. I'm sorry the palace floors were not swept. I assure you this is not how the palace is supposed to be. Here, especially in the throne room, the stranger doesn't seem to understand, continues doing what he's doing. He's gathering up the dust on the floor. Is this a form of communication? I don't know. So they both look at him in much anticipation, and he picks up something like a stick or a twig and draws a circle in it. He's drawing something, and he puts points around the circle and then points upward, looking at Daenerys. She looks at it. That is the symbol of a sun, but I don't think he comes from our sun. Perhaps maybe we should get this on paper. Could you get him a quill and ink and some paper? Very well then. So Missandei steps out briefly and gets a sheet of paper and a small bottle of ink with a feather in it. And Daenerys then takes it and the paper, and she cautiously steps forward. My queen, do you think this is safe? I know what I'm doing. If I'm to marry this one, I have to communicate with him, don't I? Yes, my queen. Besides, I don't know. I have to try. She hands him the small ink and the sheet of paper, and he takes both. And she looks at him with a big smile. You will use this to draw what you are drawing. So he sets the paper and the ink aside, uses his arm to sweep what he drew on the floor away. And then he touches the paper, but the paper gets wet, and then he looks at his hands and tries to wipe them. Missandei, get him a towel. Perhaps his hands are too wet, and we don't want whatever he draws to be destroyed. His clothes are soaked. Yes, my queen. And again, Missandei cautiously hands him the towel she's holding. He looks up at Missandei with a smile. Missandei smiles back. Thank you. Missandei's eyes get big. And she kind of cautiously backs away from him. What did he say to you? I don't know. Perhaps he's grateful that I handed him a towel. Well, I guess he can't really do much with wet hands. So they watch, and he pulls out the feather and looks at it as if it was something strange. Maybe they don't use quills in his world. He seems fascinated by this. Yes. Perhaps he doesn't realize you write with it. Then again, and she watches, he dips it in the paper. I think he's caught on. This is good. It's a good first step. And he draws the same thing, a circle with points. He points upward. Okay, so he comes from a place that symbolizes the sun. He dips the quill in some more and starts drawing other circles. Okay, what in the world is he drawing? She steps forward slowly, one step at a time, watching, with her hands folded in front of her, looking at him, and again, down at the paper he's drawing on. and um, notices that they look almost like as if they were the wanderers of her world, but they're different. And he then taps on the third circle from the symbol of the sun and points upward. I see. And she then takes the paper from him as he hands it to her. And she has this big smile about it and looks at it. And then he suddenly, as she lowers the paper, notices that he collapsed and is like asleep or unconscious. And so then the scene ends with her having a very big smile. So you are the chosen one. You come from otherworld. I have been expecting you. And with that ends the scene.
this moment, only in my dreams. You're missing, but you're always a heartbeat from me. I'm lost now without you. I don't know where you are. I keep watching, I keep hoping, but time keeps us apart. Is there a way I can find you? Is there a sign I should know? Is there a road I could follow to bring you back home? Winter lies before me. Now you're so far away. In the darkness of my